Hey everyone, welcome back to In the Alley. My name is Cody. Glad you guys are back for another video. 4 games for Saturday in Week 6, 2 on Sunday. We'll preview those later, but right now, 4 games. Let's go. Alright, I made sure to move myself into the center here so it looks a little bit better. But anyway, let's start off with our first preview of the weekend. It is going to be a 6:05 p.m. Central Time kickoff down in San Antonio, Texas. The Vegas Nighthawks are traveling down to the Lone Star State. 1-2 on the year for the Nighthawks, 1-3 for San Antonio. So one of these teams is going to get their second win of the season. Let's take a look at our season leaders right now. Jerome Johnson, 33 of 59, 427 yards, 5 touchdowns, 3 picks. Guy Myers, only 4 of 7, 46 yards, no touchdowns, no picks to speak of, at least in the passing game. But we'll talk about this in the 25-man rosters and things like that when we lead up to it. Rushing yards, Jerome Johnson, 31 carries, 148 yards on the ground, 3 touchdowns. Keyshawn Harper, 30 carries, 76 yards, 2 touchdowns. Receiving yards, Quentin Randolph, 14 receptions, 209 receiving yards, 4 touchdowns. And Nyquan Murray, 14 receptions, 189 yards, and 4 touchdowns for him. So kind of similar numbers between Randolph and Murray. Taking a look at our injury report, and I have to say this, the rosters, transactions, all of that stuff on the Indoor Football League website has not been updated since the 23rd, so there could be some stuff missing, some players added, taken off, whatever the case could be. So take these with a grain of salt along with the 25-man rosters. For Vegas, Adam Plant, CJ Jefferson, Kevin Toot, Justin Terry. Nothing has really been added or taken in the last couple of weeks. For San Antonio, nothing has really changed except last week's addition. Charles Gilbert has been added to short-term injured reserve, and that's pretty much it. Everyone else kind of stays the same through there. Again, things could have changed. We just don't know until those transactions kind of get updated, or unless you're in the know with any of the other teams. So, taking a look at our game odds, Vegas is favored on the road by 1.5 points. Over-under of 81.5, and a money line, pretty much a true pick'em here through DraftKings, minus 115 for Vegas and minus 105 if you want to choose San Antonio at home. So either way, you're not making plus money is what I'm saying. You're not making like a super profit. You'll get money back if you choose the winner, you choose correctly, but it won't be more than what you bet. Again, 6:05 p.m. Central Time kickoff on the Indoor Football League Network. Stream it here, stream it there, stream it everywhere if you have a phone and the app and everything else. Our head-to-head, Vegas leads it 1-0 with a 66-44 victory in Week 5 of last season. So this will be their second ever meeting. We'll just kind of see how that goes. Let's go take a look at our 25-man roster. Bet predictions. We move on with 3 more previews after this. All right, 25-man previews popping up over my face. Let's talk about the away side first. For Vegas, Jerome Johnson and Jaden Delora are your quarterbacks. Jerome Johnson most likely getting the start. He did get pulled in their last game. Delora came in kind of late there. The broadcast, I believe, said it wasn't due to maintenance or anything like that, so maybe performance. We'll see. I fully expect Jerome Johnson to be the starter. We'll kind of see, but I'm not holding out hope that Delora gets the start. Only running back on the roster is Antonio Wimbush. And then 6 wide receivers, Caleb Hawley, Tamarian Terry, Quentin Randolph, Daquan Dudley, CJ Wyndham, and Phoenix Sproles. I do not believe Caleb Hawley has gotten into a game yet. It's mainly been Tamarian Terry, Quentin Randolph, Daquan Dudley, CJ Wyndham. And then Phoenix Sproles, I believe, played in his first game their last game that they had. So we'll kind of see and monitor how the wide receiving core goes for Vegas. For the offensive line, they have signed Kyler Edwards, but for the rest of it, DJ Stuckey, Desmond Bland, Zach, I pronounced it 48, it's actually Fortier, who knew? Kyler Edwards and Moses Mallory. There we go. There I go with the French pronunciation of Fortier. Defense, Maurice Jackson, Claude Davis, Lorenzo Hernandez, Lee Autry, and Mayan Ahanotu. So, again, it's always those pronunciations for me, man. Mikel Calhoun is your linebacker. And then in the secondary, James Caesar. And then 2 new additions, Chu Ogbonna, Rome Weber, Justin Terry, Darius Williams, and then Elijah Blades. And it's funny seeing that name, quick sidebar, because as a Nebraska fan, I remember Elijah Blades committing to Nebraska before eventually going to Texas A&M and then like community college and then over to Buffalo. So it's nice to see that his football dream has not died. Congratulations on making it to Vegas. I hope you do well there, bud. Also, go Big Red. Kicker is Ben Derby, so Paul Ortiz is released. Ben Derby comes in, third kicker for Vegas in 6 weeks. So every other week they have a new kicker. Let's move over to San Antonio. Guy Myers, most likely going to be your starting quarterback because Malik Henry got released. We'll see how this goes. Zach Reeder, former Iowa Barnstormer, I believe Tulsa Oiler, and maybe somewhere else he's been throughout the league, but he has a lot of IFL experience, a lot of different teams. So good little backup there for him. Keyshawn Harper, CJ Odom for your running backs. CJ Odom is not suited up in, I believe, the last 3 games or so for San Antonio. We'll see if there's more of an emphasis on the run game. We'll touch on that in our bets and predictions. Wide receiving core, Glenn Gibbons, Callie Rashad, Austin Upshaw, Naquan Murray, Jalen Robinson. Offensive line stays the same. Matthew Burrell, Quan Stallworth, Joel Galvin, and the Colby Tucker. Your defense, Ulrich Jones, Austin Collier, Warren Thomas, and new addition, Justin Sykes. Your linebackers, Eric Rasco and Hassan Black. And then your defensive secondary, Clifton Duck, Christoph Page, Jalen Phelps, Kyle Myers, and Mike Miller. Now, I believe this is the Mike Miller from Green Bay from a few seasons ago or last season. If it's not, Mike Miller is a very common name. So if it's not, no, that's who I put there. So if it's someone different, I'm sorry. Kicker is still Tyler Hudel, and there's your 25-man rosters for Vegas, your 25-man roster for San Antonio. I do have to have a caveat here, though, with the transactions page not being updated. I'm doing this at 10:03 p.m. Central Time on a Friday night. Things can change, so I'm doing the best that I can with the resources given, team websites, transactions page, what have you. So a little bit of slack to be cut here, please, and we'll just move on here. So let's go check out our bets, our predictions, and we'll move on with preview number 2. All right, so bet and prediction. This one, I don't want to say it's a toss-up, but it kind of is to me. So my bet for this, -1.5 for Vegas. And the reasoning why, I do not know what San Antonio's offense is going to look like. Their defense left a little bit to be desired against Tulsa as well. And really, what did they score? 31 points, if I'm not mistaken. I know I can go look it up, but I'm just kind of trying to go off the dome here. I think they scored 31 points against Tulsa in the last game, but 2 of those were a fumble return for a touchdown and then a very big, long run by Guy Myers. So you take that off, and that's only 17 points. You take off a field goal, and it's only 14 points. And I think Naquan Murray had a touchdown or 2 as well of catching. So it's like the offense didn't really come out and do too much. And I don't know if the offense for San Antonio is still directed towards what Sam Castronova did last season. Guy Myers can run the ball, and even Malik Henry could kind of run the ball a little bit if he absolutely needed to. But if they can tailor the offense to Guy Myers, and they still have a good wide receiving core, but if you can get Keyshawn Harper involved, if you can kind of get more of a run game involved, and it did not look good against Tulsa, San Antonio can be into this game. I fully expect them to be into this game. Vegas has their own issues on offense that they're dealing with as well. The defense does leave a little bit to be desired as well. They're 1-2 as well. Well, San Antonio's 1-3, but again, both have losing records. So I think, I'm not going to say this is a must-win for both teams, but it's going to look better to have a 2 in your win column and have Vegas be either 2-2 and right at 500, or San Antonio be 2-3 and just a smidge under 500, because either way, whoever loses this game, they're not going to have the panic button pressed, but it is going to be out of the desk and placed on the table, because 1-3 Vegas or 1-4 San Antonio, one of those teams is going to be looking at this going, how do we salvage this season? I think Vegas is a little bit more of a complete team right now. Just the amount of transactions that San Antonio has gone through, whether it's been the linebacking core, the quarterback now, new players added to the secondary, the defensive line's got new players. Like it's it's still kind of a work in progress trying to figure stuff out. Vegas, again, Jerome Johnson got benched, and they didn't look good, and they still had to come out and play as hard as they could and still lost. So I don't know, man. I'm picking Vegas here. I just think they're a little bit more of a complete team. My prediction for this one, 41-35. I think Vegas, they get that last second touchdown, or they're able to kind of hold off a San Antonio comeback. But I do think Vegas is just a little bit more complete. Now, with that being said, I know I say this in damn near almost every preview, but as the season rolls along, I will probably say it less and less as we get more definitive winning teams. I'm not shocked if San Antonio wins this. They are at home. It is a pick'em. The spread is very low, and we have question marks all around. So I have Vegas here. I think they're just a little bit better. If they're not, then we have a lot of questions to ask about Vegas when the former MVP is, or reigning MVP is, playing the way that he has kind of. And so there you go. -1.5. 41-35 is my prediction for the score, and Vegas goes to 500. Let's move on to preview number 2, and we just carry on. All right, preview number 2. 7:05 p.m. Central Time kickoff. Where? It's on the Indoor Football League Network, baby. Stream it here, stream it there, stream it everywhere. The 3-1 Jacksonville Jaguars. My goodness, I'm watching the draft as I do this. The 3-1 Jacksonville Sharks taking on the 4-0 Quad City Steamwheelers. This is the game of the week. And I apologize. I'm watching the draft, seeing if Shadur Sanders is going to get drafted, but Colorado sucks anyways. Anyway, let's talk about season leaders. Caleb Barker, 42 of 75, 522 yards, 11 touchdowns, 5 picks. Daquan Neal, 35 of 58, 387 yards, and 8 touchdowns. Barker is your active leading rusher, 26 carries, 103 yards, 2 touchdowns. Daquan Neal, 34 carries, 182 yards, and 6 touchdowns on the ground for him. Leading receivers, Karan Ashley, the former Steamwheeler, 8 catches, 114 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And Kevon Rudd, 15 catches, 144 yards, and just 1 touchdown for him on the year. Our injury report, both running backs are added to the injury report here for Jacksonville. Tyler King and Jimmy Robinson, and then Rashawn Wilkins on the defensive line is added as well. For Quad City, nothing new to speak of as of right now. However, with the transactions page, and I'll say this in every preview, with the transactions page not necessarily being updated at the time I've looked at this, there could have been some players added, some players taken off, so take this stuff kind of with a grain of salt for this week. Hopefully the Indoor Football League can get it together for next week. Game odds. Quad City favored at home by 2.5 points, and our over-under very low, 76.5. -125 to the money line for Quad City, and +105 for Jacksonville on the road. So $10.50 will net your profit for a $10 bet, giving you $20.50. Woo. Again, 7:05 p.m. Central Time kickoff, a vibrant arena at the Mork in Moline, Illinois, where IFL Network if you want to watch it, or you can go to the game in person if you live there. Head-to-head, 1-0 in favor of Jacksonville. Week 19, Jacksonville won on that just... It's like a Vietnam flashback, man. On that frickin' missed field goal at the final play of the game, return for the touchdown. Breaks your heart, man. It just breaks your heart. But either way, Jacksonville got the win. Can't complain. Can't do anything. You just had to tackle them when you go to overtime. Anyway, let's go talk about our 25-man rosters, bet and prediction. We move on with the second half of our previews. All right, so 25-man rosters popping up over my face, and I've said this in the first preview. I will continue to say it. With the transactions page not being updated at the time of my recording, this stuff, take it with a grain of salt. Players can be released, put on short-term injured reserve, season injured reserve, what have you. With that being said, we have a very lean Jacksonville Sharks team. Looking at their team website and the transactions page and gathering what I can, they are running, I think, only 22 players as of right now. So there might be additions, there might not be. We just have to kind of figure it out, piece it together. Caleb Barker, Blaine Espinoza are your quarterbacks. No running backs to speak of, however. Edward Vander, number 5. He was a running back for Quad City last season. He has been a running back wide receiver kind of combo hybrid, so he will most likely get the bulk of the carries at the running back position. That leaves Karan Ashley, Jaden Stochak, and Marcus Rogers as your other 3 wide receivers, and barring anything else, there might not be any help behind that. Your offensive line, Eric Harris, Leon Brown, Dominic Jackson. Chaz Neal played defensive line, but they have him listed offensive line on the team website, so whether that gets changed or not, we'll just kind of see. Defensive line, Kevon Bennett, Chris Rice, Noah Lyles, and then like I said, if Chaz Neal gets down there, then you have a little bit of depth on that defensive line. Your linebackers, Hayden Hatcher and Ja'Cory Johns. They've kind of split some starts in the last couple of weeks. We'll kind of see how, kind of monitor that. Secondary, Tyrese Ross, Jordan Whitley, John Huggins, Malik Jones, Corey Kelly, and then Malik Fleming. We'll see if he suits up at all. Otherwise, I think you're going with a straight 21 because he is just kind of that odd man out. And then finally, a brand new kicker for Jacksonville, Mark Orozco. He is a former Jacksonville kicker. He's kicked in the Arena League. I think they had him for a second last season, and then they went and got, I think, Kevin Didio Weber. So we'll just kind of see. Or maybe they had him at the start of, like at the beginning of the last season, but then I think he went to the AFL or something like that with Albany or someone, Orlando. Who knows? Anyway, he knows how to kick in these leagues. For Quad City, quarterbacks DeQuan Neal, Demery Croft. Neal, most likely your starter. Geno Appleberry, Jared Ware, most likely your starter. And then your wide receivers, Travell Calvin, Davion Johnson, Deion McShane, Kevon Rudd, Jordan Vesey. Probably see if McShane can duplicate his performance of the last game. Offensive line, Joel Crowell, Ivory Scott, Tyrone Chambers, and as of this past week, Quad City traded Tyrone Patterson for Raul Esperance from Northern Arizona. Now, Esperance is not on their team website roster, so we'll see if he actually gets signed, but there was a trade. Defensively, your defensive line, Kadir Shepard, David Cagle, Keyshawn Moore, and then when you look at the linebackers, Bubba Arslanian and Brian Lee. Brian Lee will get down on the defensive line if he has to kind of sub in and use a super sub. Your secondary, Trey Smith, Chris Chukwuemeka, Nicholas Harris, Malik Duncan, and Cameron Harrell rounded out. Your kicker is Kyle Kaplan. That is your 25-man roster for Quad City, your 25-man roster for Jacksonville. Not a lot of changes for Quad City, quite a bit of changes for Jacksonville in terms of injuries and things like that. So we'll see how that plays into it. Let's go take a look at our bet and prediction and move on from there. All right, let's talk bet and predictions here. Let's go with the complete homer pick again, the team I love, -2.5 for the Quad City Steamwheelers. Why? Well, I don't know. I'll be honest, they are at home. You have a very lean Jacksonville roster coming to you. Injuries have been hitting them like crazy. They probably just want to get into this game, get down and dirty, and try and leave with a close win. And I think that bodes well for Quad City. Quad City does like to run the ball quite a bit too, and they will use those jet and fly sweeps to McShane, Davion Johnson. They will run it with Jared Ware. They will run it with DeQuan Neal. And they will pass it to Kevon Rudd or any of the aforementioned guys. We'll see if Trey Calvin gets in there. Whoever they have is kind of that fourth wide receiver. For Jacksonville, like I said, Edward Vander will most likely be your running back. And you just don't have a lot of help. So if there's any players that get injured, we're not rooting for injuries. But if there is anything that happens like that, it doesn't look good. So you're just trying to get out of this game without any injuries. You're trying to get out of this week with a victory as close as you can. It doesn't matter if it's by a point. They don't care about the betting lines at all, but I do. And I think Quad City has an opportunity here to flex their muscle. I think that they have been running on all cylinders. However, the caveat I have with Quad City is this. They are 4-0. Half of their wins, though, have been against a winless Iowa team. Now they have had a bye week to get everything ready to go. And we will see if they have kind of improved a little bit through that bye week. For Jacksonville, that loss to Massachusetts sucks, but we'll see how they can kind of right the wrongs or do anything along those lines. With that being said, I do think Quad City, as of right now, is just a little bit of a better team. Now, Jacksonville can shock. They can. Do I expect them to? Maybe. I don't want to get my hopes up, because every time I get my hopes up, they get dashed. So I'm still going to go for -2.5 for Quad City. My prediction in this one, 45-37. I think it's roughly a 7-point game. I think they win it by a touchdown. They can score points. Quad City can score points. But the thing that worries me is, can Quad City stop Caleb Barker? What I mean by that is the dude is very good at evading pressure. He is very, very good. I know Massachusetts has been able to sack him. He is sackable, but he is so damn good at getting out of the pocket. If you can keep him in there, if you can just kind of rattle his cage a little bit, you could be in for one hell of a day. I'll say that. Quad City, on the other hand, if they can keep running the ball, Jacksonville's out Rashawn Wilkins, so that defensive line is already down a starter. We don't know who's starting at linebacker, and while Quad City does throw the ball, the secondary is probably, as of right now, maybe the best strength on that defense for Jacksonville. So I think Quad City has an opportunity to maybe exploit the running game here and kind of use that to their advantage. For Jacksonville, we'll kind of see. Like I said, if they can use Vander, Karan Ashley, former Steam Wheelers, they kind of know the strategies and the ins and outs. That could bode well for Jacksonville, maybe knowing what they do and what they don't do. So we'll just kind of see. It will be a nice, fun little chess match between the two. I think Quad City just pulls it out, man. They're the home team. They're favored. Maybe Vegas knows something we don't. I got them winning by a little bit more than 2.5, though. So, but that's just my own little homer hat. So that's where we're at. So with that, let's go ahead and take a look at preview number 3 as we just continue to roll along. All right, preview number 3. We have a 7:05 p.m. Central Time kickoff. We have the 2-2 Fishers Freight traveling to Des Moines, Iowa to take on the 0-3 Iowa Barnstormers. It is on the Indoor Football League Network. Stream it here, stream it there, stream it everywhere if you have a phone. I'm just going to do stupid jingles every week until one's picked up. So let's take a look at our season leaders. We have something to talk about here. We don't know who's starting at quarterback for either team. We'll just kind of see. You'll have to go through warm-ups and kind of go from there. But Jair Wright is your leading passer. 29 of 45, 233 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Your leading passer for Iowa is not Joaquin Collazo. When you check the Iowa Barnstormer website, he is no longer on there. So that means it is either going to be Niall McLaughlin or a new guy who we will talk about in our 25-man roster. I am not going to spoil it for you. Rushing leaders, Jair Wright, 42 carries, 237 yards, 7 touchdowns. And your rushing leader for Iowa is probably you, because you probably have more rushing yards than whatever Iowa has done this season. Collazo has 19. So whoever's after that, maybe it's Niall McLaughlin. I have no idea. Receiving yards, JT Stokes, 11 receptions, 126 yards, 2 touchdowns. Leading receiver for Iowa, 15 carries, Kean Williams. 15 receptions, I keep saying carries, 15 receptions, 233 yards, and 3 touchdowns through the air for him. Your injury report, as I've done in the previous 2 previews, take these with a grain of salt. We do not have the new transactions or anything as of right now through the IFL website, so people could be taken off, people could be put on, kind of just go from there. For Fishers, nothing has really changed as of right now. Iowa finally has an addition here. Caleb Hood has been put on the short-term injured reserve list as of just last week. If you go to the Iowa Barnstormer Facebook page, it tells you what happened. I think he got into a car wreck. That really sucks. He's having a really, really good season too, so it really sucks to see kind of circumstances out of your control when it comes to getting put on the short-term injured reserve like that. Not even football related stuff. So get well soon, man. Your game odds. Fishers favored by 4.5 on the road, over under of 83.5, and our money line -175 for the Freight and +145 for Iowa. So if you think a home Underdog, $10 bet nets you $14.50. $24.50 is your profit. We are in the Wells Fargo Arena in Des Moines, Iowa. Again, 7:05 p.m. Central Time kickoff on the Indoor Football League Network. And our head-to-head matchup, there hasn't been one. So this will be the first meeting between the Fishers Freight and the Iowa Barnstormers. Kind of excited for this one, not going to lie to you. I think this is going to be a fun little measuring stick game of how Fishers bounces back from the Bay Area loss from last week. And then we kind of look at Iowa of back-to-back losses to Quad City. They've had a bye week to kind of get better. We'll kind of see how it goes. So with that, let's go take a look at our 25-man rosters, bet and predictions. We got one more preview to go. All right, let's take a look at the 25-man rosters as they pop up over my face. And as I said in the previous two previews, take these with a grain of salt. We do not have the current transactions and stuff like that on the Indoor Football League website. So using what we have up to this point and using the team websites, kind of piece this stuff together. So starting with the away side, quarterback, Keegan Shoemaker, Jaya Wright. We'll see who gets the start. Shoemaker did not look too good last week against Bay Area. More interceptions than completions. Jaya Wright, we'll see if he goes back into the fold. Running back, John Lewis has been really the only running back. John Gay is not suited up at all. So we'll see, again, if anything changes there. Wide receivers, J.T. Stokes, Shavera Smith, Isaiah Cox, Jalen Carter, and Jordan Kress. It's kind of just been Stokes, Smith, Kress. Isaiah Cox kind of gets in there a little bit. Jalen Carter, I think, is suited up for one game. Offensive line has started every game. A.J. Forbes, LaQuinston Sharp, Jeremy Cooper. Noah Batiglieri is not on the team's website, but I have not seen him get released, so he's still kind of here. On defense, your defensive line, Christopher Oakley, Jalen Swan, Robert Horsey, Isaiah Reed. Your linebacker is Tamar Hart. And then your secondary, Kareem Golden, Sean Steele, Aaron Jackson, Jaden Rowe, A.J. Antoine Felton, whichever way he goes by it. Devin Hafford rounds out your secondary. And then your kicker is Victor Leventrit. Over to the Barnstormers. Again, like I said, Joaquin Colazo was not on the team's website. They have Niall McLaughlin and James Cahoon, or Cahoon, however it's pronounced. Hunter Clausen as your running back. Your wide receivers, Keyshawn Taylor, Kean Williams, Jalen Bracey, and Shaq Currington. Your offensive line, Rodney Luckett, Tyler Castaneda, Desmond Bissett, and Paul Fay. Defensive line, Patrick Godbolt, Joshua Ellison, Gabe Smith, Tyler Tate, and Jared Johnson. Now, Jared Johnson was listed as an offensive lineman on the website, but I thought I saw him play defensive line at one point, so we'll kind of see. Kadri Jackson is your linebacker, and then your secondary, Larry Walker, Caleb Street, Isaac Duffy, Jared Sod, Jaleel Brown, and Darius Harper. Gabriel Rui rounds it out with your kicker. That is your 25-man roster for Iowa, your 25-man roster for Fishers, and there you have it. Let's go take a look at our bet and our prediction. We move on. All right, so bet and prediction for game number 3. I'm going to just kind of cop out here and do a Fishers money line of minus 175. And it's pretty close to the minus 200, and I don't like getting that far away. But I don't necessarily know if I trust the spread, and I don't really trust an over-under right now, just because I do not know who the starting quarterbacks are for either team. If you bring in someone like James Cahoon or James Cahoon or however it's pronounced, my gut reaction is he is going to be the starter. I don't know anything really about him, and that's probably my own ignorance, and I apologize for that, but we'll kind of see. I'll kind of see how it goes for Iowa. They will not run the ball. I know that they won't, and I think that favors Fishers because that already makes them one-dimensional. On the other hand, Fishers themselves are pretty one-dimensional in the fact that they try and throw the ball, and they have some success at it. I'm not saying that they don't, but they do like to run the ball. And I think if they are going to run the ball and waste clock, I think that favors them because that allows them to control what they have to do. Meanwhile, passing the ball, if you get into third and long situations or second and long or even fourth down situations, it can put you behind the sticks pretty quick, and that's not a recipe for success. So I just have the Fishers money line. I do not know how much they're going to win by. I think they're going to cover, but I am just not confident enough to pull the trigger on -4.5 with -110 betting odds. I think Fishers is honestly a better team right here. Again, it sucks, as I mentioned earlier, to have Caleb Hood go to short-term injured reserve because he was a very good weapon on the wide receiving core for Iowa. But Iowa needs to figure out that quarterback situation. Same thing with Fishers. But I think regardless of the Fishers situation, either quarterback running the ball is very good. And I'm not trying to say that the Iowa quarterbacks are bad, but the scheme in which they are, it's not pleasant. So I do think Fishers, regardless of who starts at quarterback, if they're running the ball, they are good. I would personally put Jaya Wright in. I think he is a better passer. He has proven it more than Keegan Shoemaker has, and that's not a knock on Shoemaker, but that just kind of goes to show you the experience that he had last season at Sioux Falls, and now the couple of games that he's had at Fishers. It's pretty good. And I also like Fishers' defense going up against Iowa's offense. If they're already a one-dimensional offense, that secondary looks really good with Sean Steele and A.J. Felton and Kareem Golden, whoever, Aaron Jackson, that entire defensive secondary looks good. Tamar Hart will blitz you. That defensive line looks nasty. I mean, it's just Fishers has probably a better team. And I think their defense going against Iowa's offense is better than Iowa's defense going up against Fishers' offense. So that's where I have it. My prediction for this one, 44-38. It's a 6-point victory. So Fishers covers the spread. You get kind of close to that over-under. But like I said, I was just not confident. I had pick a score, pick a team. I picked Fishers. I just think they're better right now. That would end up putting Fishers above 500 at 3-2. Iowa drops to 0-4, and you're just left scratching your head of what has become of the Iowa Barnstormers. So that's where I have it right now. -175 for the Freight. They win on the road, and Iowa, another home loss for them, unfortunately. So with that, let's go check out our final preview, and we'll get on out of here. All right, our final game for Saturday night. It is an 8:05 p.m. Central Time kickoff. Where? It's on the Indoor Football League Network, baby. Stream it here, stream it there, stream it everywhere. If you have a phone or tablet or whatever. We have the 0-3 Northern Arizona Wranglers taking on the 3-0 Arizona Rattlers in Glendale, Arizona. Let's take a look at our season leaders right now. C.J. Fowler, your leading passer for Northern Arizona, 38 for 74, 316 yards, 6 touchdowns, 5 picks. Dalton Sneed, 43 of 79, 526 yards, 11 touchdowns, 1 interception. Fowler is your leading rusher, 33 carries, 150 yards, 2 touchdowns. We'll talk about this in a second. Ron Brown is your leading rusher, but probably not for long. 25 carries, 131 yards, 4 touchdowns for him. We'll talk about that here in a second. Receiving yards, Marvin Kinsey, 14 carries, 128 yards, 2 touchdowns through the air. And then Isaiah Houston, 15 catches, 214 yards, and 2 touchdowns for him. Injury report for these teams, and I have said this in the other 3 previews. I'm going to say it here in this one as well. We do not know as of right now with the IFL transactions page. I have looked at it. Nothing has been updated since the 23rd. So looking at team websites, gathering what we can, here's what we have. Not a lot has changed. Devin Thomas has been added to the short-term injured reserve, but that was last week. And then Arizona doesn't have anything. We'll talk about one thing, but as of right now, for the injured reserve part, nothing to talk about there. For the game odds, over-under of 84.5 in Arizona favored by 15.5 points. That's over 2 touchdowns, baby. -455 for the Rattlers at home, +350 for Northern Arizona. So if you want an upset on the road, if you think Northern Arizona is going to win this game and you throw down $10, you're going to win $35. It'll give you a $45 profit. We are in the Desert Diamond Arena in Glendale, Arizona. Again, an 8:05 p.m. Central kickoff time on the Indoor Football League Network. And our head-to-head favors the Rattlers 8-3. with Arizona winning their last meeting, week 14 of last year, 56-49. So fairly close game. Let's go take a look at our rosters, piece together what we can, bet and prediction, and we'll wrap everything up. All right. 25-man rosters popping up over my face. Let's take a look at the away side first. Quarterback change, maybe, maybe not. CJ Fowler still on the roster, but Christian Arambide is released. In comes 2022 Offensive Rookie of the Year Ramon Atkins, former Duke City quarterback, and I believe he was also with Tucson at one point. He was traded to Arizona for Drew Powell, and then they both went to the Arena Football League or AF1 or whatever, and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, he's back with Northern Arizona, so there you have it. Running back Marvin Kinsey, Nolan Susel still is not suited up for a game. Wide receivers Deshaun Stoudemire, Jamal Couch. Marlon Cook is number 11. I don't remember if he was on the roster last week, but I believe he was with Tucson at one point in the preseason. Kobe Smith and David Elder round out the wide receiving core. Offensive line, Tyrone Patterson. I mentioned this with Quad City. He is traded over from Quad City for Raul Esperance. So there's a little offensive lineman trade. Rest of it stays the same. Junior Atuatasi, Chris Simon, and Jonas Coleman round out the offensive line. Defensively, it gets a little weird here. Darius Johnson, Karan Bolden, Mason Newton are your defensive line, but I have also seen Chizzy Amunakwe. There we go. He has also played on the defensive line too, if I'm not mistaken. Your linebacker, last week it was Traveris Farrell, new signing, former Arizona Rattler, former Tucson Sugar Skull, so kind of knows Kevin Guy's system a little bit. We'll see if he starts at linebacker again. Fode Jallo and Kalen Hicks also go there, but Kalen Hicks did drop back into the secondary last week. Speaking of the secondary, Bakembe Carney, Kieran Page, Malik Saunier, and Edward McClendon round it out. So again, you might have a little bit of a super sub when it comes to that secondary if Kalen Hicks is going to drop back. Your kicker is Brendan Fisher, and over to Arizona. Drew Powell and Dalton Sneed, with Sneed most likely being your starter. And then here's where it gets fun. Shannon Brooks. He is off the physically unable to perform list. He is now on the team website on their roster page, but gone is Ron Brown. Now, with that being said, I do not know if Brown is on injured reserve. I do not know if he is released. We'll just kind of play it by ear with that. I just did not see him on the team's roster. For the wide receivers, Jamal Miles, Johannes Tyler, Isaiah Houston, Corey Reed, and new signing Austin Johnson. Offensive line, Michael Brown, and we do have a new signing here as well. Bryson? Sounds southern when I say that. Bryson Mays from Southern Mississippi, Christopher Strauder, and Javion Caldwell. So with that, Q Baker, and I'm blanking on the other guy. The other offensive lineman, I'm sorry. Again, we don't know if they were released. We don't know if they were put on short-term, long-term injured reserve. So we'll kind of play that by ear. Defensively, Kevin Symes, Rashawn Yates, Isaiah Coe, and James Nimwaya are your defensive line. Linebackers stay the same with LMNOP and Jalen Campbell as your linebackers. And then your secondary stays the same as well. Devontae Merriweather, Deontay Overstreet, Rashi Hodge, Isaiah Huff, Omari Alexander, and Ethan Castleberry rounding it out. Your kicker is Dawson Evans. There's your 25-man roster for Arizona, your 25-man roster for Northern Arizona. Let's go take a look at our bet and prediction, and we'll just wrap everything up after that. All right. Bet and prediction time. I'm taking it. Minus 15.5. I don't know how often you get over 2 touchdown spreads. We haven't had one. I don't know if we've had a double-digit spread yet. You can go back and check, I guess. Or Alec, if you're watching this, go ahead and post it in the comments, man, because I don't know if we've had a double-digit spread this season. This might be the first, and boy, is it a big one, so I'm going to take it. And I do have a reason why. I don't know how good Northern Arizona is. They have not looked good at all this season. I mean, they have, but they haven't. And with what Arizona has been doing to teams so far this year, yes, they needed to come back to beat Green Bay, but just how they looked against Tucson, I don't know, man. This team is good, and they're not pulling any punches when it comes to this, and I don't expect them to when it comes to another in-state rival like Northern Arizona. Put into that too, I know Ramon Atkins has indoor football league experience. I know he kind of knows the system and stuff like that, or has been around the system, but either way, I just don't know how we're going to go about it. Add into that, what wide receiver is finally going to step up? And when it comes to the running game too, Marvin Kinsey is your leading receiver as your running back, but what wide receiver is going to step up, man? Like we just need an offense to start stepping up. They have not strung it together for 4 quarters, even to the point where Tucson was kind of clowning them, man. Like they beat them 44-24 last week. Like they have not scored that many points. It just does not look good for Northern Arizona right now. The defense leaves a little bit to be desired too, and Arizona is just running on all cylinders, man. I expect this to be kind of a Arizona Tucson from was it week 2? I expect a little bit of it like that again. Like, was it 56-28 or something close like that? Whatever that score was, kind of like that. That's kind of what I have it here. 56-35 is what I have. So kind of similar numbers. That would give you an over, but I don't know if I want to take the over just based on I don't know how many points Northern Arizona is going to score. I'm kind of being generous there, as like Arizona kind of takes their foot off the gas late, and yeah, but I'm not going to pick a plus 15.5 when minus 15, and you just go, let's go blowout and kind of see what we can do here. So that's what we have for this right now. We got minus 15.5. It'll probably blow up in my face as Arizona, again, probably takes their foot off the gas and allows Northern Arizona to come back into it, but we'll kind of see. But minus 15.5 is my bet for this one. 56-35. I think the Rattlers roll, and they're at home. They want to put on a show for their crowd. We'll kind of go from there. So with that, let's go wrap everything up, and we'll get on out of here. And that is it for our Saturday preview for week 6. 4 games on the docket, all kicking off within just a couple of hours of each other. So yeah, pick your favorite team or teams and watch the games and stuff like that. And I will do the same. I'm looking forward to this week. I really am looking forward to that Quad City Jacksonville game. Unfortunately, I will be at a Royals game with my fraternity brothers doing stuff with them, so I will have to pocket watch the game when I have opportunities to. But with that being said, I'm going to take off here, guys. I love and appreciate every single one of you taking the time to watch this. Comment, share, subscribe, like, do whatever you guys want to do. I really love interacting with you guys and talking ball. It's a lot of fun. So with that, I'm going to take off here, guys. Got some editing to do, getting this thing up before the games even freaking start, and just getting the weekend underway. So hope you guys have a fun weekend. I will chat to you in the next video with the Sunday preview of the 2 games that go on there. And until then, I'll catch you guys in the next one. See you.